As a costume designer, communication is really key. Things change all the time and, be able to do quick things on set. Hi, I'm Daniella Pearman and I'm a costume designer. I have worked on a number of shows, more recently the 4th series of Sex Education for Netflix, the BBC comedy Alma's Not Normal, and the Prime Video comedy drama Dead Hot. As a costume designer, you are basically responsible for dressing the cast. In the initial prep stages, you get the script, kind of interpret what each character would look like, the way they dress. You kind of work with the production designer and the makeup designer and kind of all HODs to basically create the general aesthetic of the show. Costumes are the first thing you see before a character even speaks. So it's just really important to make sure that you kind of get that right look for their personality and who this character is. Key skills to do my job are teamwork. I think is a really important one because you're working not only with your costume team, but also other departments like production, design, makeup, cameras. Communication is really key. Things change all the time. Sewing skills, of course, but I have worked with people that are really good sewers and ones that aren't so great. So it's not always a necessity, but it does help to have that knowledge and be able to do quick things on set. If you're asking a maker to make something, to have all that knowledge, it is useful, but not essential. I mean, if you do have an interest in sewing and making and stuff, I think that's really great. I didn't actually train in costume design and I didn't go to university or college specifically to learn how to sew and stuff. I learned because my grandma was a tailor and a seamstress. So I used to go to hers and she'd teach me how to sew. She used to make my Barbie dolls new costumes and stuff. So I used to always kind of watch her do it, and that's where my interest came from. The advice that I would have for anyone wanting to get into the industry and isn't sure that it's for them is gain work experience. Getting that experience to see if it is for you as well, because it's not just that you don't know if it's for you, but it's whether you're for it as well. So it's kind of, gain as much experience as you can. Talk to people in the industry if you can. I get people emailing me all the time, sort of asking that they're interested in getting into costume or whatever. I started out as a runner, which was a very different job to costume, but it made me see into every single department and how it's run and what department I was interested in getting into. So I enjoyed sort of art, English literature, and theatre studies. And I think having that sort of arty background, I think costume design was definitely something that made sense. It's all about storytelling. You're telling a story through the costume that, what state the costume is at some point, if they've been in a tumble or whatever, you're constantly telling a story with what that character's wearing. Screen Skills, which is an organisation that kind of you can sign up for, whether it's costume or makeup or any of the departments. And so when we are then looking for trainees, we can go to Screen Skills and ask for CVs. And that's how a lot of people kind of get into the industry. There's various organisations kind of on Facebook and Instagram, sort of across all social media. The whole industry is networking. You do have to be very personable in this industry. Never think that it's a waste of time.